Hi y'all, Kraken Latte here, and welcome to the next episode of Solo Raw Gold, where I keep track of gold from old raids so you don't have to. I've wanted to use that intro for so long. This time we'll be looking at all the instances in the Wrath of the Lich King expansion, so buckle up for an ice cream drive. But first, let's give a warm welcome to my newest patron, Kim Marbury. Thank you so much for your support, and welcome to the Kraken crew. Alright, let's get into it. So, as usual, the numbers we'll look at are the averages of multiple runs. Most of my alts are between item level 380 and 420. Used to be 410, but the passive gear creep has been slowly going up. So, let's start with the raids. First up, we've got Vault of ARCHAVON. This is a short, compact little 4-boss raid. This is the PvP raid in Wintergrasp that must be owned by your faction in order to have access. Luckily, it doesn't kick you out if a battle starts when you're inside anymore. That was really frustrating in past expansions, trust me. We've got normal 10 at 140 gold in 3 minutes, and normal 25 and 260 in 3 minutes, for 87 gold per minute. And you'll notice, since this is an older expansion, the level of difficulties offered for each instance are all over the place. A lot of them don't have a heroic mode, so keep that in mind as we move along. Next up, NAXXRAMUS. This is certainly a fan favorite for many reasons. While it isn't as good as it used to be for raw gold, it's often used to farm Frostweave cloth. I made it a point to clear every single bit of trash and try and squeeze as much as possible from this raid. And in each full clear, I ended up with between 200 and 300 cloth. Not too shabby. For the raw gold, we've got normal 10 at 950 gold in 35 minutes, and normal 25 at 1985 in 35 minutes, for 56 gold per minute. Your times will obviously be faster, but remember I cleared all the trash, and there's a lot of trash in this raid. Next is OBSIDIAN SANCTUM. Tiny one-boss little raid with lots of lava and dragons. It's pretty, for sure. Doesn't give much, though. It's a good way to get some skins, as everything here is skinnable. And there's no heroic version either, so just normal 10 and 25. Normal 10 gives about 102 minutes, and normal 25 gives about 120 in 2 minutes, for 60 gold per minute. Next up is Eye of Eternity. Another one-boss dragon raid. Woo! Except this time with magical discs and space. Ooh, space. That's about it. Normal 10 is 50 gold in 2 minutes, and normal 25 is 64 gold in 2 minutes. Yippee! The next raid would technically be Ulduar. I say technically, because there's a hitch. This raid technically has only one difficulty now, which was changed back when it was added as a time-walking dungeon. It did not get the same treatment as Firelance for some reason, where you could just do both normal and heroic in the same week. This was all condensed into a normal mode. However, many of the bosses have a sort of hard mode that you can trigger, which will then give you a second set of loot. This one takes some explaining though, and it's best done in its own video as a walkthrough, because it gets really confusing and long, trust me. Which is what I'm going to do, so keep an eye out for that in the near future. For the next raid, we've got Trial of the Champion over in the Argent tournament. There's lots of RP in this raid, so it's really slow. Pretty straightforward otherwise. Tokens of the Trophy of the Crusade can drop here and are also used to buy gear from the vendors. The tokens themselves, though, can be vendored for 50 gold each, so that'll be a big factor in your results. You know, our big whopping results there. You do also have to do normal first before you can do heroic, though. So if you want to do heroic, you'll have to do normal and then wait until the next reset to do it. So we've got normal 10 and heroic 10 at 340 gold and 8 minutes each. Normal 25 and heroic 25 at 420 gold at 8 minutes each, for 52 gold per minute. Next, we've got the good old Guildbreaker raid of ONYXIA'S LAIR. It's just another one-boss dragon that gives very little. I don't think we really need a GPM for this one. Cool mog out of this raid though. We've got normal 10 at 50 gold in 1.5 minutes, normal 25 at 70 gold in 1.5 minutes. Next up is ICECROWN Citadel. The famously iconic raid, as not only is it visually stunning and thematically rad, it contains Arthas as the Lich King and various other lore characters. From a gold to time standpoint, it's terrible, but there is a lot of really neat mog that comes from here, as well as the invincible mount. Your gold will vary a bit depending on what class you are, as if you do not have healing spells that can be cast on friendlies, you'll have to skip Velythria, the green dragon. I'm sure someone's got a way to cheese it though. And per usual, I cleared every bit of trash I could find when testing, so my time and gold will be a little higher than yours if you don't do that. Now we've got Ruby Sanctum. So I noticed with this one that you have to do normal first before you can do heroic, which means if you've never done it and you want heroic, you'll have to do it and then wait until reset to get your heroic run. This seemed to be per character too, just like Trial of the Crusader, as I had tested this on multiple alts. That aside, the raid itself is actually awesome for a skinning farm. As long as you don't pull the mini bosses, you can skin every dragonkin in the instance. It's a good way to level your skinning too. So for normal and heroic 10, we've got 50 gold in 1 minute. Normal 25 and heroic 25, we've got 240 in 1 minute. Short raid. So let's take a step away from all the raids and move into the dungeons. First up, we've got Ankhet, the Old Kingdom. A lot of trash in this dungeon isn't lootable. Nothing really of note besides that, even though it's really aesthetically cool. Normal gives about 160 gold in 4 minutes, for 1600 gold in 40 minutes on 10 runs at 40 gold per minute. Heroic gives 340 in 4 minutes. For our next dungeon, we've got Azul Narub. Lots of trash you can tackle here, unlike the previous one, and it's all lootable. On Heroic, there's an extra boss down to the left after you leave the narrow tunnel, so certainly do him too. On Normal, we've got 240 gold in 6.5 minutes, at 2400 gold in 65 minutes for 37 gold per minute. Heroic is 400 gold in 6.5 minutes. Our next dungeon is DRAK'THERON Keep. This one would be a lot faster if Novos, the Lich boss, just died when you hit him, but he's gotta do his bubble phase. Kind of a neat dungeon though, zombies and necros and dinos galore. Definitely use the self-kill macro at the end though, rather than running out. It's much faster if you plan to farm this. For normal, we've got 230 gold in 6 minutes, for 2300 gold in 60 minutes at 38 gold per minute. Heroic is 240 gold in 6 minutes. The next one is Halls of Lightning. There's a healthy amount of trash at the beginning and end of this dungeon, though it's all spread out. I killed all of it. For normal, we've got 270 gold in 6 minutes, at 2700 gold in 60 minutes for 45 gold per minute. Heroic, 420 gold in 6 minutes. The next one is Halls of Reflection, a really awesome dungeon filled with RP focused around the Lich King. Makes for a really long instance though. We've got normal at 160 in 14 minutes, at 1600 gold in 140 minutes, at 11 gold per minute. Pretty abysmal. And heroic, we've got 300 gold in 14 minutes. Next is Halls of Stone, home to one of the most painful waits in the game. Literally a 5-minute wait for the tribunal part with Bran. Ugh, don't do this one unless you need Mog. Really pretty instance though. Normal gave 230 gold in 12 minutes, which is 2300 in 120 minutes at 19 gold per minute. Sensing a theme here, are we? For heroic, we got 400 gold in 12 minutes. Pit of Saron is our next one. This dungeon has a lot of trash and not a whole lot to offer, with the exception of one item, the Battered Hilt. This is a super rare item with a low drop rate that can be sold on the auction house. It technically can drop in all 3 of the conjoining dungeons of Pit of Saron, Halls of Reflection, and Forge of Souls, but it's most often farmed for in the Pit of Saron simply because this dungeon has far more farmable mobs than the other 2, and it's a lot faster. The item itself starts a quest chain that ends in some cool weapons as rewards, so it's quite sought after. For normal, we've got 150 gold in 5.5 minutes for 1500 gold in 55 minutes at 27 gold per minute. Heroic, 350 in 5.5. Now we've got the Culling of Stratholme. Not to be confused with the Stratholme dungeon in Eastern Plaguelands, this is the Culling of Stratholme found in the Caverns of Time, and it's really long. It's a really fun RP instance though, following Arthas along through Stratholme as it burns. Some cool mogs specific to this instance comes out of it too, specifically in the weapons and shields department. For the first couple stages before you go into the city itself, make sure to talk to Chromie for it to progress. And when you're following Arthas, make sure to talk to him when he keeps stopping to continue. Next is Forge of Souls. I have to say, I've always loved this dungeon. The whole concept of a soul forge is just super cool. And you know what makes it even better? Some kickin' rock music. Forge of Souls actually has some seriously awesome music. Don't believe me? Here's the clip. Take a listen. Next up is the Nexus. A very cool dungeon. I'm a big fan of the icy, frosty aesthetics. Lots of trash, all of which seems to be lootable except for some of the ghosts in the Rift area, but that's fine. Also note that Commander Kohlberg, who was the first boss for Alliance, and his Alliance equivalent for Horde are actually heroic only, so don't be surprised if you don't see them. Normal gives us 240 in 6.5 minutes at 2465 for 37 GPM. Heroic is 400 gold in 6.5 minutes. Now we've got the Oculus. So this dungeon is a bit wonky. It doesn't give you a whole lot of direction, and you've got to use a dragon buddy to get around. It's not so bad, but I tend to get turned around a lot because of its freeform style. You could probably do this a lot faster than me, but to be honest, this instance frustrates me, so take my results here with a grain of salt. Now we've got the Violet Hold. This is the original Violet Hold, which functions the same as the Legion one. Pretty slow, pretty straightforward, and not much to say about it. In normal, we've got 140 gold in 7.5 minutes for 1475 minutes at 19 gold per minute. Heroic gives 250 in 7.5. Back up in the Argent tournament, we've got the Trial of the Champion. The first time you ever do this dungeon, you have to wait for the pageantry, which takes about 2.5 minutes on its own, and that time is not included in my results. Every time after that, you can skip it. You have to equip a lance and mount one of the horses or wolves to start it, but once you do, you can just dismount and fight like normal. For normal, we've got 140 gold in 3 minutes for 1400 gold in 30 minutes. Not too bad, at 47 gold per minute. Heroic gives 220 in 3 minutes. Next we've got UTGARDE Keep. A bit of a long one, but it's a unique instance. My only real tip for this one is if you farm it, to make sure you use the self-kill macro to get out after the last boss. Not only does killing him too fast prevent the gate from opening, running out takes a good minute anyways. Dying at the end will take you back to the beginning, so you'll be in good shape with that. Next is UTGARDE Pinnacle. And like the other UTGARDE, this one is a bit long too. There's a fair bit of waiting too between the RP with Zavala, the trophy room spawns, and Scotty, which I guess is pretty much the whole dungeon. Normal gives 200 gold in 6 minutes at 2000 gold in 60 minutes for 34 gold per minute. Heroic gave 210 in 6. And for our last dungeon, we've got Gundrak. A pretty fun dungeon with lots of twists and turns through the various halls, so make sure you click all 3 of the bridge switches so you can get up to the last boss. Heroic does have an extra boss, which is behind the 3rd one in a secret passage, so make sure you do him for a bit of extra. Normal gives 250 in 4.5 minutes, for 2500 gold in 45 minutes at 56 GPM. Heroic gives 405. And that's what we have for Wrath of the Lich King dungeons and raids. Not surprisingly, the instances themselves are not hot from a raw gold perspective as far as full clears go. They're actually quite close to the Mist of Pandaria results, which is interesting. And like always, let's look at the top 6 in terms of GPM. So, for our Wrath top 6, we have Vault of ARCHAVON, normal 25 at 87 gold per minute. Number 2 is Obsidian Sanctum, normal 25 at 60 GPM. Number 3 is Nax, normal 25 at 56 GPM. Number 4 is Gundrak, normal times 10 for 56 GPM. Number 5 is Trial of the Crusader Heroic 25 for 52. And number 6 is Trial of the Champion, normal times 10 at 47. And there we have it. Those are the results, except for Ulduar, from Wrath of the Lich King instances as of now. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, it's never too latte. And that's it. Thank you everybody for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and poke that bell for more Coffee Field content. Leave a comment down below if you liked it, and remember, it's never too latte.